So anyway, guys, so here I am in Nelm, which is a place called Nelm in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I'm having a good time. But I have to do better in terms of life. I have to do my own things in life. I have to grow. I have to be someone much more straightforward with what I say. For example, I have to understand much more about life. I have to go out there and do much more things around in terms of around speaking and around living life. So, for example, I'm understanding that my mum over here is different. For example, today she left me in the house. And do I want her to leave me in the house like that? I promise you, yeah. I don't mind living at home in terms of where I am at the moment by myself for a bit. I get to experience life on my own. I get to do things on my own, for example, and that's a good thing. But, for example, I understand that I need to become much more aware about what's going to happen in my life. So what I do is I make audio programs and I make video programs basing it on something that's truth and something that's really, really growing. So, for example, I'm understanding that I need to create much more content. And I see how unhappy people are, for example. I see how they live in places where I would never live, for example. They live in these places next to the beach somewhere where it's just in the middle of nowhere. And I wouldn't want to live like that. I see the place that I live in, Sydney, is a great place to live in because it's close to the city. And it's much more of what I need at the moment. I see it's much more how days are passing by with my mum. I see it's much more how I need to go back to Sydney very soon. And I need to get my papers for Croatia so that I can have Croatian papers so I can live in the EU. And it's more how I'm looking at just living in Sydney at the moment. I want to live in Sydney at the moment for myself to grow. And it's much more how I have to tell my mum that I want to be alone. I want to be alone in Sydney because I want to be independent. I want to have my own lifestyle. I want to be on my own, for example. But that's coming up. That's coming up in my life where I have to get on the 9-to-5 job. I'll have to start working 9-to-5 job just to live life, just to get by. And I see much more experiences, like, for example, I want to experience life. I want to experience myself doing a great job for myself every single day. I want to help myself to include myself in everything, because when I do that, I grow into the person I want to be. And that's the important thing, is that the more life coaching videos and the more quotes and the more of everything I make for you guys, the more I can understand much more about life. Because only through teaching people something about life can you really, really grow from everything that you're doing in terms of everything that you are. See, if I wasn't making life coaching videos and making life coaching material and also making music production, then I wouldn't be in the same place that I am today in terms of life. I wouldn't be the person I am today, for example. I wouldn't have a great attitude the way I have right now. I wouldn't be able to speak to people. I wouldn't be able to do much. But because I do life coaching materials and because I coach people very much in life, that's why I can always do things according to my nature. I can understand much more about how to actually coach people and how to actually live life on my own terms and conditions. But the thing is that being married is not for everyone. For example, you have to understand that some people want to be single. You understand? Being single is the best thing in life. But some people cannot live single. I mean, they have to have someone in their life that they can grow with. Do you understand? I mean, these people who are insecure are like that. Do you understand? They need someone else to live life. Do you understand? You don't need anyone in life to live life. You can live life on your own. You can live life on your own terms and conditions. So the more you read, the better. But what I read is, I read, for example, key points. I read all the key points in life in terms of all the benefits that I get from everything that I do. Yes, and that's how I grow. I grow through ways of life in terms of traveling, in terms of doing things. And you have to understand that God gave me everything for free. But God's not ashamed of me. I promise you, people are not laughing at me. Do you understand? I promise you, and even if they are, like, what kind of people are they if they're laughing at me? You understand? I mean, don't laugh at anyone. Be a person who laughs with the person, not against them. You understand? Try to always never be against life. Try to be always with life. Try to always grow from what you are saying and what you're doing to actually grow. You understand? You have to always take yourself on a journey. But because I create so much life coaching videos and all this kind of information, is because I can always express myself to someone that's willing to listen to me. You understand? And that's why I grow. And my mum was recently saying, oh, but you only have 2 views on your videos, for example. But that's alright. I mean, you understand? I mean, I don't mind having 2 views to do my work and to do my passion. You understand? I'm not a stupid idiot. But at the moment, I understand something that I am a stupid idiot to some extent. So it's about growing, and it's about doing things on your own accord and making sure that you're living life on your terms and conditions, you understand? Because that's how you grow. You grow through making sure that you're living life to the fullest. And that's what you need to do all the time. You understand? You need to be able to grow. You have to be able to live life the best way you can. You understand? And that's how you grow. You find something to do. And since I'm traveling right now, do I want to be back in Australia, in Sydney? I promise you, nah. I promise you not at the moment. I feel alright over here, to be honest. But the thing is that my mum has been making me food, in terms of buying me food that is not vegan food, for example. And it's really, let's say, difficult for me to be a vegan with my mum. Do you understand? Because I have to go to the shops without her, for example, and I might get lost in the cities over here. And like, I have to be with my mum, otherwise I get lost. Do you understand? And that's the thing. When I'm in Sydney, I can go and do whatever I want to do, for example. And I can go be vegan. I can go be someone of a nature who is growing, who's succeeding in one area. Do you understand? Because that's what's opening up for me right now anyway. Which is the ability to see exactly where my place in life is. Do you understand? Because traveling can only get you so far. Do you understand? But when you're in one place on your terms and conditions, where you're growing in those terms and conditions on your own, you find life much more natural. You find life much more being able to grow in the moment. Do you understand? Because it's much more how, when you're left alone, that's when you succeed the most. You understand? Because you make your own decisions, you make your own rules. And when you make your own rules, it's much more how you abide by those rules and you grow with those rules. It's much more how in Sydney, Australia, I have much more attempts. I have much more ability over there to be able to go wherever I want around the world. I can always get myself around places because I know how to get from one place to another in Sydney, Australia. And it's really easy. I mean, it's really easy to travel Australia, for example, because I've traveled Australia and I understand how to get from one place to another in Australia. But when you travel overseas somewhere, it's very difficult to get one place to another. I promise you, it's very difficult to go from one place to another, because as soon as you enter that country, then you need internet for that country. So for example, Montenegro, it has its own internet, you understand? And once you get into Croatia, your internet that you use from Montenegro is no longer valid. I promise you, now you have to go, and now you have to get yourself Croatian card, in terms of a Croatian prepaid SIM card, for example, and you have to top it up again with internet and stuff like that, just so that you can get around. You understand? So that's the thing. I mean, my mum likes to travel by car, but if I was my mum, I wouldn't be traveling by car much. I'll travel from city to city in terms of life, and it's much more how you have to navigate your way around with internet. You understand? But the thing is that you have to always grow, and you have to ask other people to help you along the way to find your way around life. Do you understand? So, for example, I'm seeing the differences between Sydney and between other countries and stuff like that. And I can say it's much better for me in Sydney because I'm much more familiar with the places there. I'm much more familiar with how to grow myself in the moment. But now I'm understanding how it is to work that 9 to 5 job and why it's so important. You understand? So it's much more how I can see exactly what I need to do in the moment and why I need to grow and work a 9 to 5 job to have money in my pocket so I can provide for my family. But I'd rather do that in Sydney than with my mum. Because with my mum, she's going to always be bossing me around. She's going to be telling me what to do, you understand, and stuff like that. And I don't want that in my life. You understand? I don't want people telling me what to do. You understand? And it's much more how I can always listen. I can always listen to them, but I don't have to take their advice. You understand? And you have to understand it's much more how I realize that with my mum over here, it's limited to some extent. But when I'm alone, it's unlimited when I'm alone. You know, I'm able to grow. I'm able to go and read as much as possible. I'm able to do things on my own as much as possible. And now you have to understand that when I see that other people have a woman or something like that in their life, I promise you, then I start to, like, for example, I don't get resentful, but it's much more how I feel like I'm missing out for some reason. But I'm not missing out on anything. You know, saying it's just I don't want to rush myself into a marriage. I don't want to rush myself into having kids, for example, and that's just a reason for me to live life. You know, saying so it's much more how now since I'm understanding the differences between Sydney and between Australia and other countries. I'm understanding that Australia is much better. To be honest, it's much better to live in Australia than it is to live overseas, and that's just my view because. For example, I can live alone and I can go to Great Britain, which is the United Kingdom over there, and I can live over there with my passport, with my Australian passport, for example. And it's much more how I can make a life for myself in the United Kingdom, but then I have to work a 9 to 5 job over there as well and try to always make something for myself happen over there. But the thing is that I don't want to live in the United Kingdom. I want to live in Australia. Yes, I want to live in Sydney, Australia, because I'm much more familiar with the territory there, and just go about life in my own way, you understand, and just live life on my own conditions and terms and stuff like that. I reckon that's much better when I'm alone than with my mum or with my dad, for example. But the thing is that for now, I see that living life on my own is the best kind of choice. And I help myself to grow. I help myself to have that satisfaction in life, to have that satisfaction throughout life, to enjoy my life. Do you understand? And, I mean, that's what I need to do. And right now, do I want to go to the beach? I promise you, nah. I don't want to go to the beach. I want to help myself to grow right now, here, in the moment, living life, doing something on my own terms. But if I didn't do all the life coaching material that I've done, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in this place. You know what I'm saying? And it's much more important for me to always life coach, and that's because I grow from it, and because someone's always hearing me out. You understand? Someone's hearing me out in the world. I'm doing my work regardless of if I'm getting paid for it or not. You understand? I'm doing work for free, and that's the important thing. You understand? So I'm trying to always give my perspective in the world. I want to be able to exist on my own and be able to grow from my own things and stuff like that. So that's how I abolish, I rebel in what I do. So, for example, I'm understanding now that traveling's nice with my mum. I'm pretty sure it's nice to go travel and stuff like that. But it's too hands-on, I reckon. I reckon you have to understand it's much more how we're travelling place to place to place to place to place. It's like we're speeding Gonzales around places. You understand? But the thing is that that's how travelling is. You understand? You have to travel from place to place to place to see everything. You understand? As much as possible. But the thing is that sometimes travelling can be too much for someone. Yes, and now it's traveling too much for me. Well, it's not too much for me, but I want space to relax. I want to relax on my own for a bit. You understand? And that's why I'm here in the house at the moment. I'm without my mum at the moment. I don't know where they are in terms of my mum's boyfriend and my mum. I don't know where they went. They went somewhere to the beach, to suntan or something like that. But now, since I'm actually growing, I'm doing my own things. I'm helping myself to elaborate much more on what I'm doing. And you have to understand, I never smoke cigarettes or do drugs while I life coach or do music production. Yes, and that's something totally what I do in terms of life to help me grow. And that's why I'm much better at life coaching, because I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk and I'm not drugged while I'm actually life coaching. So it's much better for me and it helps me grow. See guys, here's the thing about drugs I want to teach you. Drugs will make you a psychopath, okay? You have to understand that when you start taking drugs, you might not see at first that it's affecting you, but eventually down the road, you start to neglect yourself so much that people take awareness to you and they understand you straight away. So they can look at you and they can understand you're a drug addict. I mean, you can see it by your social appearance, in the way you look. You understand? Your self-image becomes that of a drug addict. So, if you want to help yourself to do better in life, then what you need to do is you have to improve your self-image. So read all about improving your self-image on the internet. You understand? Because that way you're going to grow. But before you do that, I'm going to teach you some things about self-image and about a better way of life. So you have to understand that it's much more how you look matters, okay? And what you need to realize about life is when you start taking drugs, your social appearance starts to deteriorate, okay? You start to become someone that you've never thought that you could be. You understand? And it's much more that most people, you have to understand that there's a quote going around that when people take drugs, they don't think they're a drug addict. Do you understand? But once they start really acting like a drug addict, then you have to understand that they don't admit that they're a drug addict. They don't admit that they have a problem. So what do? They continue to do the drugs. You understand? Because they think in their heart that they are not a drug addict. You understand? So they think it's okay to use drugs. But it's not okay to use drugs of any sort of drugs, whether it be legal or illegal drugs. You understand? And now my mum is never against the legal drugs. She's against the illegal ones. You understand? So the thing is that she'll allow you to smoke cigarettes, she'll allow you to drink alcohol, and she'll allow you to do that for yourself. And she'll allow you to drink caffeine, but she won't allow you to take illegal drugs. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that she doesn't understand, and most people don't understand, that taking legal drugs kills you slowly as well, just as much as the illegal drugs. So the most dangerous drug on the planet for me, personally, is alcohol. Alcohol is the most dangerous, because once you start really drinking much more of it, often, I promise you what happens is you start to die very fast. You understand? And you start to look older. So what I'm going to do today from now on is I'm going to make a pact with myself to never ever take illegal drugs anymore, because it's been already 8 years since I started doing that stuff, in terms of not started doing that stuff, but it's been 8 years since I've been sober away from the legal drugs. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I make a pact with myself to stay off the legal drugs, such as alcohol, cigarettes, and caffeine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write down cigarettes and nicotine, okay? So I won't be taking cigarettes and nicotine with me. I won't be smoking cigarettes and nicotine. And I'll also write alcohol down, just in case, I'm going to write alcohol as well. Let me just write alcohol down. And I will write also black coffee and caffeine. And from now on, I'm not going to take that anymore. And why is that? Because I want to improve my life. I want to not deteriorate. But what also I'm going to do is I'm going to write over here all types of sauces, and mayonnaise, especially mayonnaise. I'm not going to eat any more mayonnaise. So what I'm going to do for myself over here is just help myself slowly to get back on track. And it's been 114 days since I had peanut butter, for example. So I'm not eating peanut butter, and that's a good thing. It's been 114 days since I ate hummus and peanut butter. But the thing is that when I live with my mum, she likes to spoil me all this stuff. She likes to spoil me so much. You understand? So the thing is that I have to go live alone. I have to be alone with my life to really, really succeed. But I want to explain something about drugs. That when you take drugs, I promise you start to act psycho. I promise you start to really, really cut yourself. You start to act suicidal. You start to never talk. And I think that drugs has really affected me in a way that I'm not able to speak to a woman properly. Do you understand? I'm not able to speak to people properly. Do you understand? I promise you it's really, really, let's say, difficult for me to start a conversation with someone, for example. And the thing is that when a woman looks at me, it's like, that guy is nothing special. But I have that type of image, do you understand? So when a woman looks at me, it's like, this guy is fat, this guy has no money, he's broke, he has no car, he has no house. I mean, what do I have? I have a heart, but they don't see that. You understand? They don't see that I have a heart. You understand? But the thing is that they are going for more. They want more than me. You understand? They want something more than me. But the thing is that they're making the biggest error here. And they're missing out on who I am as a person and how much I can really teach them via life coaching and stuff like that. And the thing is that I can show them the way. You understand? I can show them the best way about life in terms of finance, and in terms of nutrition, and in terms of life, in terms of information. You understand? I can be a guide. You understand? I can be a life partner. I can provide money to some extent. And I can provide social care. I can provide companionship. You understand? I can provide all that for them. I can pay for dinner here and there. You understand? I mean, do I always have to pay for dinner? I mean, sometimes the woman can treat me as well. Do you understand? I mean, my mum over here, she's always paying for her boyfriend. You understand? And the thing is that they're together and stuff like that. But the thing is that you have to understand, it's the man's job always to shout drinks and to shout food and to provide for the woman. Do you understand? So the woman can provide for herself in terms of clothing and in terms of food and drinks and stuff like that, and in terms of rent. You understand? So it's just that kind of way. Do you understand? One person in the family has to be a provider. But wouldn't it be nice if everyone was a provider? You understand? I mean, everyone is a provider. Just many people don't realize that. You understand? Many people are not recording themselves and they're not doing much around helping themselves grow. You understand? So that's why they're missing out. I mean, they're missing out on life. They're missing out on life coaching, music production, whatever it is. They're missing out. You understand? And the thing is that I see how God's providing for me. And God wants me to succeed, but I want to succeed this time, big time. I want to make sure that I'm doing better for myself, personally. So I'm going to tell my mum, no more smoking, no more caffeine, no more alcohol. And that's it. Probably she'll be happy with that. You understand? So if she tries to force it upon me, she can never force anything upon me. She can make me all the coffee she wants. I'm not going to drink it. And that's it. I didn't ask for the coffee. So that's something I can say to her. And the thing is that I just want to help myself to do better. You understand? So, for example, for the next, let's say, 2, 3 months, 4 months, I'm going to have low energy levels. I understand that. But I'm not drinking as much coffee as I was in Sydney, Australia. I understand that. You understand? I understand I'm not drinking as much coffee and stuff like that. So, what I want to do is I want to go drink some mineral water for myself, which is sparkling water, so that you understand something. The Balkans say mineral water. You understand? And they say mineral no vodu. You understand? That means mineral water. But mineral water in English is really, it's really normal water, like just plain water. You understand? But the thing is that English people say sparkling water. And that's what mineral water in Serbian and Balkan language is. Just so you guys understand that. I see. So, for example, I don't blame the woman for not being with me. But don't you sometimes realize how some guys get some woman, they get these beautiful women, and they fuck them, and that's it. I mean, that's all they have. I mean, isn't that stupid for you? I mean, doesn't it look stupid that the woman gives herself to a man who just wants to fuck her? I mean, there's plenty of that going around. But the thing is, it's much more how that guy gets to fuck her. Do you understand? He gets to fuck her, and he gets to fuck all these women, all these beautiful women. And that's all he ever wants. I mean, that's all he ever wants for himself. I mean, in a sense, so all he focuses on is bodybuilding and fucking, and that's it. Apparently, that's what he is. You understand? And that's all he provides for the world. He shows people how to fuck a woman, and he shows people that he's some bodybuilder or something like that. But I respect people that work out. I see that they want to look good for themselves, and they're trying. I mean, they're trying really hard. They're trying really difficultly to have a body of their own, to be looking good for themselves, to really, really help themselves. But that's all they focus upon. You have to understand that that's all they really are in life. Do you understand? So, for example, a lot of people focus upon different matters and different things about life. Some people focus their whole life on drugs. But other people focus their whole life on fitness and health. Other people focus on business and communication. Other people focus on life coaching and music production, like me. You understand? I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, you have to pick a side. You have to go some type of direction in your life that's going to really satisfy you as a person. But I want to ask God, what is God trying to show for me? I ask you, God, what are you trying to show me in this moment? I mean, what are you trying to really tell me to do? I mean, what are you trying to really see for me? I promise you, God says that He just wants me to do better. Do you understand? I promise you, He can see the way. I promise you, I understand that God's showing me the way here. And God can really, really show me the way, and He shows me the way, but I have to follow it. And now there are plenty of barriers that I set for myself over here with my mum. The thing is that I can somehow quit the drugs aspect. I can quit the drugs aspect and be drug free at least. And then from that point of view, I can tackle everything else once I come back to Australia. You understand? So for now, on my time off in the world, I can really understand that I have no time off in the world. I'm always working. I'm always trying to do better. The thing is, it's much more how from now on, I remove the drugs from my life in terms of the legal drugs, and I just stick to having a better life. So what I want to do is I want to help myself to just drink a little bit more soda, for example, because I bought some soda. And what I want to do is much more, I ask God what to do here. I promise you, God says, just quit soda right now. I promise you, it's much more how I can quit the soda right now and just drink mineral water for myself. And that's more than enough to quench my thirst. In a sense, so what I want to do is just go over here into my calendar over here, and I just let it be. I let it be for now. But the thing is that I want to cut down the white sugar, for example, and I want to never eat ice cream again. So I just want to write over here, ice cream, because it's too much calories. Ice cream, and I never want to again eat ice cream. And potato. I'm just going to write potato over here. I'm never again going to eat potato because it's stupid. So what I want to write also is just more about, I want to write more about relaxing myself in life. I want to do better, but the thing is that there was a guy recently who came into my life and he asked me, Danny, why are you so fat? I said to him, I'm on medication, I've got schizophrenia. I mean, you don't have to say that. You understand? You don't have to say to people that you have schizophrenia. You understand? What you can say is, yeah, you just like to eat, and that's it. You understand? The thing is that people like to talk behind your back. They like to be happy about you, let's say, losing it in life. Do you understand? Because whatever you say to them, they're going to be happy about it. You understand? So they're happy about your misfortunes in life. Do you understand? So you have to understand that many people are happy about your misfortune. Yes, and everybody has misfortune in their life. I promise you, I can point out a flaw in everybody. I promise you, everybody has a flaw in life. Yes, and so not everybody is really successful to the degree that they want to be. Yes, and so you have to understand that there was a stage in my life where I became my best version. And I became my best version for a reason. And I was very strong in myself. I was really, really helping myself grow. And the thing is that I travelled all of Australia. And I've seen most of Australia on my own. And I lived with people. I lived with hostile people and stuff like that. And I had these massive experiences with people. And I was very quick to navigate myself around Australia very quickly. And the thing is, it's much more how I was living alone. And I was at the prime of my life. It's only that when I came back to my dad, that I started to deteriorate again. You understand? So maybe when my dad passes away, I'll go live on my own. And maybe that really helps me grow. Do you understand? Because eventually it's either I'm going to work a 9-to-5 job at my mum's house, or I'm going to work a 9-to-5 job in Australia. So what do I want? I mean, I'd rather work away from my mum. You understand? That's how it's going to be anyway. I'm going to have to work away from my mum anyway. But the thing is that my mum is not proud of me in terms of my life coaching and my music production. She's not happy with it. You understand? She's not happy with me. She's not happy with the person I am. Do you understand? She always tries to pick out flaws around me. Do you understand? I mean, she's always looking at me as a non-perfect person. You understand? She looks at me as, like, for example, as if I'm not perfect already. Do you understand? So she expects more from me, and that's why she gets disappointed by me. Do you understand? Never expect from other people anything in return. Do you understand? My mum likes to expect things from me. Do you understand? So what I want to do over here is just grow to help myself to be someone much more. So I live my life to the best ability that I can to succeed for myself, so that I really live life. That's the whole point, guys. It's the whole point in becoming someone much more for yourself. So you're really learning, and so that you're really growing yourself in the moment, and so that you're really living life. That's what you guys need to do. You need to be able to go and never procrastinate throughout life, helping yourself to do better, helping yourself to become more in life, to become more in terms of everything that you're doing. And you have to really life coach every single day, because that way you really, really give your notion about what you want. But if I didn't life coach, I wouldn't be able to speak. I wouldn't be able to be confident the way I am. But the thing is that I met some woman recently. I seen this woman. I seen one woman. I seen another woman. I tried to speak to her. I mean, nothing happened really. You understand? I mean, that's just the. I mean, what can I say about that? I mean, that's just the way it is, isn't it? I asked God, what was I meant to say in that moment? I mean, it's like you have to sweep the woman off their feet. Do you understand? You have to really talk to them. Do you understand? You have to talk to them, but you don't have to talk to them. You understand? Make them talk to you. You understand? Make them talk to you, because otherwise they're not worth it. You understand? That's my opinion, and that's my way of life. I don't chase women. I make women chase me. I mean, that's my mentality. You understand? And my mum said something recently. She said that they're only ever going to chase you if you have money, or if you have a car, or if you have a house, and stuff like that. That's the only reason they'll chase you. Yes, and that's the only time they'll chase you. I promise you, if that's the case, I promise you, if they don't want to chase me for my heart, for who I am in my life, then they don't deserve me. You understand? I promise you, that's the way it is. I'd rather be single. You understand? So having a woman is not a problem in my life. I can get a woman. I can go to Africa. I can go wherever possible to get a woman. I can get a woman in all nationalities. But the thing is that it's not about chasing a woman for me. It's more about making women chase me. But why would they chase me? That's the thing. And that's what my mum asked me recently. I said, information. Just information. I have the information they need. Yes, and I have something that they need in life. And what is that? I promise you, it's really just information. I promise you all sorts of information. I'm a provider of information. You understand? And my mum was speechless. I promise you, she had nothing to say about that. You understand? I mean, people don't chase my information for some reason. And I ask God why. I mean, why don't they chase my information? Jesus Christ says that's the thing. They're unaware about me and my information. They're not willing to learn from me. Do you understand? So I just let it be. I mean, if I have to go through life single, then I will. I promise you, I'd rather be alone than with anybody else in life. I'd rather be a loner. You understand? Because I got God by my side anyway. You understand? So the thing is that every single day I'd rather just be alone, away from other people, because other people like to influence me. And who you surround yourself with is who you become. So that's very clear that I became like my mum because I'm with her. Do you understand? It's more how she doesn't allow me to buy soy milk, and she asks me what do I want and stuff like that, and I've just been eating all this stuff that I don't usually eat. I've been filling myself with junk food, for example. Do you understand? Because as soon as I eat vegan, she has a problem with it. Do you understand? And it's not because of her, it's because of me. Do you understand? It's much more how I felt like eating all that stuff. Do you understand? Yo. See, so guys, I just do my way. I do my way of life. I mean, I do my own way of life. I do something relaxing. I help myself to grow. I feel that you have to understand that my mum's in the other room over there, and she's maybe listening to this right now. But see, it's more how you have to understand something. I don't mind my mum listening to me, but she told me to shut the fuck up. She told me, like, what the fuck do you know about life? I mean, that's my mum, you understand? She told me, hey, what the fuck do you know about life? I've lived twice the life of you and stuff like that. But why aren't you teaching, mama? I mean, why aren't you teaching people about your life? I mean, why aren't you teaching people about what you've been through? I at least teach something about my life. Do you understand? I at least pass on information that I've learned from other people. You understand? What does she do? I mean, all she tries to do is just teach. I mean, she tries to teach me things. You understand? I mean, the people she's around, she talks to those people and stuff like that. You understand? She passes on information to other people, but she's not passing on information to you. Do you understand? But she does it through me. Do you understand? You see, I just told my mum I'm doing life coaching. She's like, oh. Like, that's a big problem that I'm doing life coaching. Do you understand? You have to understand it's much more how I feel better without my mum. Do you understand? I don't know what to say, but you have to understand that it's much more how I feel better without my mum and dad. You understand? I feel better without my mum and my dad because I want to live alone. But the thing is that I can do that on my own. You understand? All I have to do is in Australia is do this. I just go live alone. Do you understand? And then I have to pay rent. Do you understand? I have to pay the rent to live alone. Do you understand? I can live alone. It's no problem. But that's coming up for me. Do you understand? I can go live in a hostel for $12 a night and I can be dreaming. I can be doing everything in terms of whatever I want to do. Do you understand? But my dad gives me peace. My dad gives me peace and quiet in the house. You understand? I can go into my room. I don't have to go living on my own somewhere. I can go living with my dad for now. Do you understand? And it's the best decision and it's the most affordable way. And I'd rather live with my dad right now than to live alone. You understand? And why is that? Because you have to understand something. That it's the most affordable way. And now you have to understand something. That the most affordable way for me to live life is to live with my parents. Because they pay the rent for me. You understand? They pay the rent for me. And that way I can live with them. You understand? And now I see something that's opening up for me in my life. You understand? Which is, if I live with my mum, then she's going to be paying the rent. She's going to be paying the rent for me to live for free. You understand? I don't have to pay rent with my mum. But if I choose to live alone after my dad passes away, I'm going to have to pay the rent. I'm going to have to pay the bills. I'm going to have to pay electricity, water. I'm going to have to fix the car. I'm going to have to do the rego. And I'm going to have to work a 9-to-5 job on my own just to live life. Do you understand? So that's something that's much more different. But I get to live alone. Do you understand? That's different, yeah? But the thing is that I asked God, what would he do? I mean, would he go the most affordable way or what? Or should God says, go the most affordable way in life. Do you understand? Or the most affordable way is the best way. You understand? So the thing is that I have to tell my mum, I have to show my mum what I need to eat. Do you understand? I need to eat this, I have to eat that, I have to do this. But the thing is that if I live alone, I get to accompany myself to do better alone. Do you understand? I can make a family for myself from that point of view. You understand? So it's going to be something that's different. But at least I'm going to be living alone by myself. And I'm going to be making a family for myself in Sydney. You understand? Because I'm much more familiar with Sydney. I'd rather do that than go with my mum. You understand? That's what I feel. I feel that really. You understand? So I see what's coming up in my life anyway. My dad's going to pass away. And he's passing away very soon. And things are going to happen. I mean, things are going to be really, really in the moment. But I'm going to be showing you the way. Each and every single step of the way. I'm going to be showing you exactly what I'm doing to succeed in every given basis, and then what I do, so that you can succeed for yourself, and so you can live a life of your dreams, and so that you can really help yourself to explain much more about who you need to be with, and who you need to know, and what you need to do about life, because that's what information spreading is, and that's how you spread information through life. You spread what you are, you spread exactly what you need for other people to hear. Do you understand? So, for example, I'm understanding that eventually I might understand something, that I have to stand my ground. I have to stand my ground, and I have to live alone. You understand? I have to live alone, because regardless of what's happening I realized that living with my mom is not the way. Do you understand? But it's not the way for me. But living alone is the way for me. You understand? Because when I'm alone, nobody's bossing me around, nobody's telling me what to do, I'm living my happiest life on my own. I do the best job I can every single day. I'm working, I have a family, I'm doing my own things. Do you understand? I'm helping myself to succeed, and nobody's bossing me around. You understand? And the way I can live my life is to the best degree this way. I just see that. See, guys, so you have to understand that when you speak through the feeling. And you have to understand that God understands your feelings, okay? So, for example, what you feel is what God is talking to you with. So God's always speaking through your feelings. So when you're in your feelings, you're really grounded in the moment, and you really understand what to say and why to say it and how to say it. For example, so be in your feelings. Feel your way through life, because life is an experience. You cannot feel your way through life through the thoughts that you think. I mean, thoughts that you think is just an ability for you to spread information. So when you spread information, all you want to do is look to your feelings to do that for you. So there's always something to say. So you have to figure out what to say to help other people with that information, is what I mean. So for example, if you want to quit smoking, be in the body. I mean, if you want to live life, be in the body. If you want to do anything in life, be in the body. You understand? Be in the body in life, and you'll find yourself much more healthier, because your body will tell you what to do and how to do it. But your wisdom is something that helps you to navigate your life. So the more wisdom you have in life, the better you are in terms of everything that you're doing. You understand? Because life coaching and teaching, teaching something about life, or anything around teaching other people success, or whatever it is that you are doing in the moment, apparently there is a way out, and there's a way that you need to live life. So for example, how do I live life? I live life on a day-to-day basis. I make sure that I have money for today, that I have enough money for today, to live today. And so as long as I have $50 in my pocket every single day to do something with that, apparently it's more than enough for me to live life. Do you understand? So that adds up to being, like, for example, around $1.8 million in my lifetime, for example. So do I plan to live over 100 years of age? I do. I plan to live as long as possible every single day. So you have to understand that if you want to life coach people, if you want to do something successful every single day, you have to live in the body. You have to embody yourself. You have to understand that your mind craves the drugs. Your mind craves food. You understand? The thing is that your body is the mind. Okay? So when you live in the body, you are actually living in the mind. Okay? But the thing is that too much thinking revolves around schizophrenic type disorders, and you have to understand that if you're not writing things down, and if you're not life coaching people, then you're doing worse off. You have to understand that people are doing worse off today because they're not teaching other people success, and they're not teaching themselves how to get from A to B. You understand? Because when you teach yourself how to get from A to B, then you teach other people how to get to A to B as well. And then you're someone who has a purpose. You have a purpose through life to navigate people to a better direction. So even though I'm doing worse off right now in terms of life, because I'm smoking cigarettes and drinking caffeine, and I'm not drinking alcohol anymore, but the thing is that since I'm still eating this meat, and I'm still eating meat foods in terms of life, I'm not vegan at the moment. And the thing is that since I'm doing this for myself, I'm experiencing life on a different basis. And you have to understand that eventually I will get to the point where I quit drugs altogether, and where I start becoming vegan for myself, where I start living on my own terms and conditions, because that's a dream. Apparently the dream is to live alone. You understand? Because you have to understand that my mom says, for example, nobody wants to be alone in life. Apparently I do. I want to be alone. You understand? The thing is that my mom says that because she wants me to live with her. But the thing is that I'm willing to pay rent to be alone. You understand? I'm willing to work a 9-to-5 job so that I can live alone. You understand? So that's the thing about me. Apparently I'm willing to build my own family alone, because I don't think I can do it with my mum. And you have to understand, the thing is that I can do it with my mum as well, But the thing is that I want to go through life on my own terms. I want to do things on my own terms. You understand? I want to be making sure that I'm living life on a daily basis, doing things on my own accord. So now, what is so special about me living in Sydney, Australia? I promise you, the thing is that I'm familiar with the place. I can go to certain events, I can go to these events and see people and stuff like that, but the thing is that I get to live alone. I promise you, that's more worth to me than anything else in the world. You understand? Because it's an experience, first of all. And the thing is that I don't become lonely as a person. I can do my work, I can really find something to do for myself. But the thing is that I can invite people over to my house, and I can really pay the bills. I can do whatever it takes to succeed on my own. You understand? And now traveling for me is really going to hit, let's say, to the top of the hill, in terms of eventually you have to understand that it's really, I'm traveling through words and I'm traveling through images. I'm pretty sure that's the only way I travel these days. And now you have to understand that, for example, you have to understand that all these people that are going on breaks and holidays and stuff like that, apparently, is it a waste of time? Apparently now, if they're not doing their work, apparently if they're not doing their passions, then it can be a waste of time. Do you understand? So you have to realize that sometimes you have to be someone much more special for yourself, where you're actually taking yourself out for whatever it is, so that you can really experience life on a daily basis on your own. Do you understand? Because most people are traveling alone, and you have to understand that it's the best thing. Approach the best thing is when you travel alone and you get yourself from A to B alone, because that way you understand exactly what you need to do and how to succeed and how to move forward. You understand? But the thing is that I want to be single. But do I miss having a woman in my life? I promise you no. I don't miss it. I promise you it's the thing that it doesn't satisfy me. I promise you a woman doesn't satisfy me. I promise you the best thing that I can see with a woman is to be in companionship with her. For example, to be loyal to her, and to really, let's say, to just be a person of nature where I'm growing in the moment and doing things on my own terms and conditions, and making sure that I can go and live my life, being a friend and being someone who she can rely upon in terms of rent and in terms of whatever it is, in terms of food and drink and stuff like that. But the thing is that I live life on my terms. You understand? I want to live life on my terms. I want to make sure that I can go and do things on my own and live, and that's it. I want to live, and I want to live to the best ability that I can. But the thing is that I cannot do that if I keep going backwards. You understand? I cannot move forwards if I go backwards. You understand? So the thing is that I'm experiencing life now, and am I in pain right now? I'm not in pain. I promise you, but I feel like a cigarette. I'm not in pain though. I realize I feel like a cigarette, but I'm not in pain. I promise you, cigarettes don't give you pain. You understand? I promise you now, if you attract cancer, you may attract pain into your life. But pain is growth. I promise you, cancer is growth. I promise you, you're always going to be growing. And I'd rather have cancer than die through a car accident, or die through an airplane accident or something like that. I'd rather have cancer than get hit by a car really good. Do you understand? But the thing is that if you want to leave something behind, you can only ever leave behind any images that you've done, or any type of words that you've done, or music that you've done. Perhaps you can explain yourself that way, and you can really talk to the audience this way, and you can help to describe things for people, in terms of deaf people, in terms of blind people, in terms of helping them to feel their way through life. Because if, for example, if you see Sasha Matic, this guy's a singer and he's very famous in Serbia, and you have to understand that he's a pop star. I mean, he's one of those best singers that you can never find in Serbia. And now the guy's totally blind. I mean, him and his brother are totally blind, and they're both pop stars. I'm pretty sure they're both famous. And the thing is that they hold each other's hands, and I believe that they go about life sticking together and stuff like that, and that's a good thing. You understand? I mean, you have to have people by your side, so people are leading them to a better way of life, And you have to understand that they cannot see where they're going. I mean, you understand? But the thing is that they can feel their way, and they can see through their feelings. You understand? So when I look at Sasha Matic and Deja Matic, I'm so thankful that I can see. I can see through my eyes. I can experience life through my eyes as well. Because what you experience through your eyes is the images that you see through imagination. You have to understand that some people are blind and they've never seen life. But they've never seen the imaginational term of conditions throughout life where they can see through their eyes. Do you understand? Do you know how special it is to see through your eyes, guys? But you have to understand that they never had the opportunity to. You understand? I have the opportunity to see through lies, to see through everything. Do you understand? Because I have feelings, I have eyes, I have God by my side. But the thing is that we haven't experienced the life that Sasha Matic and Deja Matic have. I mean, they've went through life doing their own things, building their own terms and conditions, building their own life and stuff like that. And they go through massive, massive challenges. And you have to understand that it's very difficult for them to even go to the toilet. And it's very difficult for them to even get dressed or to even go anywhere because they're so blind that they cannot see where they're going. Do you understand? But they can feel their way through life. I mean, they can speak and they use their words and they use their feelings to get through life. Do you understand? And that's what you do as well. You make sure that you're always speaking through exactly what you need to do and what you need to say and what you need to really understand. But my mom doesn't give me an opportunity over here to really go and be a vegan. You understand? And the thing is that it's not that. The really thing is that I want to go about life experiencing my own way of life without her. You understand? Because with my mum, I promise you it's not bad to be with my mum. But the thing is that I want to go be a vegan. I want to be a vegan. I want to make sure that I can go live my life alone and really, really go succeed. And now I'm gonna be able to go to speed dating, for example. I'm gonna find myself a woman who's interested in me, and it's not gonna be about sex. You understand? It's not gonna be about sex with her, because I want to be someone who marries a woman that is not as interested about sex in terms of, let's say, not having kids. You understand? I mean, the thing is that I want to find a woman that is not curious about sex as much as, I mean, I want a woman that's curious about sex, but to the point to have a kid. You understand? That's the woman I want. So the thing is that God's going to provide for me everything that I need. And God's been providing for me every single day of my life. And you have to understand that God's taken me on a journey through life. He's taken me to all around Australia. He took me around Europe. He took me around other people. I promise you I experienced some kind of life. Do you understand? I promise you. And I experienced a life that nobody else has. I've had experiences in my life that nobody else has. You understand? Everybody's unique. Everyone gets their own unique experiences. And some people wish for my life right now, and I wish for myself to have a better life, for example. But I cannot do that if I do drugs. For example, I cannot do anything if I do drugs. I can actually do something if I understand I can do anything I set my mind to. But never say that you cannot do something. Okay? Never get yourself to the point that you cannot do something. I promise you, if you want that body, then you're going to go and be willing to do that for yourself. So you have to will yourself through your body to get to the place that you want to go. Do you understand? So if you want to succeed so much, you have to really understand it's about your feelings. And God speaks through my feelings, okay? And you have to understand that eventually God's going to take me off the medication. And now, do I want God to take me off the medication? I promise you, eventually, I want God to decide for me. I want God to be the judge over here about what's going to happen in my life and what He wants for me. You understand? So if God takes me off the medication, okay, then I'm going to live a life where I'm going to have to work a 9-to-5 job and earn the money, and I'm going to have even less money. Okay, I'm going to even have less money and less passion time, but I'm going to have a family for myself, and family is going to fill in that time for me. But the thing is that you have to understand that people don't read. I promise you, people don't read as much as they need to. But when I'm alone, I can read as much as I want. I promise you, when I'm alone, I can do whatever I want. I'm unlimited to the degree that I can live when I'm alone. But when I'm with other people, I promise you, they drag me down. I promise you, other people drag you down, okay? I promise you, other people want you to live like they do. You understand? They want you to succeed like they do. But they don't want you to be more successful than they are. Do you understand? So you have to understand that you have to be alone in order to succeed to your own fashion. And now I want everyone to be much more successful than me. I want that guy to fuck that beautiful woman. Do you understand? Because she needs it. Do you understand? And the thing is that sometimes I wish that I could have the same thing. That I could have sex with that woman because she's so beautiful. I can have sex with her doggy or anal. I can do a porn video with her, and that can be satisfactory for me. And then what then? I promise you, it's more how I want to go for the kid. I want to go for helping myself to be with that woman for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? I promise you, I'm much more of a that guy. I promise you, I'm not the kind of guy to go fuck a woman in a brothel anymore or something like that. I'm not the type of guy where I need to fuck a woman just to fuck her. You know what I'm saying? I was that guy. I was that guy who just wanted to fuck Bojana Gagic. I wanted to fuck Dana Knežević. The thing is with Dana Knežević, you have to understand that I wanted to fuck her, but the thing is that she never allowed me to. And the thing is that it's more how I never got the opportunity to show my real love to a woman. You understand? To show her really that I'm a guy in terms of life, that I want to spend the rest of my life with her. And now there were two women in my life, such as Vesna Rajcevic and such as Brianna, and I'm not sure her last name, but the thing is that these two women were in my life, and I was really willing to go the whole way with them. You understand? The thing is that they broke my heart. You understand? They broke my heart, but I didn't feel any pain from that. It's just that they went away from me. They never wanted to be with me in terms of long term. You understand? And there was a woman at speed dating over here. I promise you, she's like, oh, but I want to drink alcohol in the relationship. I said, it's better to not drink alcohol with me. You understand? And the thing is that she's like, oh, do you want to allow me to drink alcohol? I said, the thing is that if you are with me, then I don't allow you to drink alcohol with me. Do you understand? And she doesn't like that, so she went her own way. And you have to understand that it's much more how people are different, and people have different social skills, and people have different ways of thinking. But the thing is that I get to express myself every single day. And you have to understand that you guys listen to me like God listens to me. Do you understand? Actually, God wants you to express yourself as much as possible to the world, so that you teach people exactly what you are and how you do it and what you do to success. And you understand? And give that information for free from your whole heart. And that's all God wants from you. I mean, God wants you to be successful. God doesn't want you to die young. God wants you to always be young and always make sure that you're always doing the best job for God every single day. God wants you to live for God. You understand? Live for God. Do what God wants you to do every single day. Be obedient to God. You understand? Be someone who abides by God's rules. You understand? Because you have to understand that I've been breaking, let's say, the number one rule of life, which is health first. You understand? You cannot have drugs and God at the same time. You understand? I asked God, is that possible to have drugs and God at the same time? Apparently no. Apparently God says you can always have God. Apparently God says you can always have God regardless of what you are doing in life. Do you understand? Because God doesn't dislike you for what you've done. Apparently God always is never embarrassed by you, and is never ashamed about you. So what you need to realize is you need to go a different way. So for example, I miss Sydney because, I mean, why do I really miss Sydney? The thing is that it's much more how I'm traveling right now, and I love traveling. The thing is that I want to do my work for God. Yes, and I can do it anywhere in the world. I can make sure I can do my work anywhere in the world. You understand? But the thing is that eventually what's going to happen is I'm going to be alone, and I'm going to be really living life on my own terms and conditions. And because of that, I promise you, I have to pay rent. I have to get myself ahead of life. I'm not going to be in debt. You understand? So the thing is that I'm always going to be working. You understand? And life is work. You have to be working at something. You have to be doing something to succeed. So the thing is that I'm doing things on YouTube much more often because other people are not doing it, and you have to understand that my work is words. I do words of work. You understand? I do work around words. I do work around music. And now my music is not the best music, but God says that my music is the best. You understand? God says that my music is the best. And God will always promote my music. Do you understand? God will always promote me. Yes, and the thing is that God always promotes you regardless of what you're doing. So you have to work for God. You don't work a 9-to-5 job to make money. You work the 9-to-5 job so that you can serve God. Do you understand? That's what you need to realize. You have to understand that God's always on your side. So every single day you have to always abbreviate. You have to always learn something. You always have to grow regardless of the situation. And sometimes you have to have space alone. You have to go alone sometimes throughout life so that you understand exactly what you need in the moment. You understand? So now, is my mum going to give me the house? I'm probably at the moment, yes. She's going to give me everything she has. And if she doesn't, I have enough anyway. You understand? It's more how the only thing that I can pass down to my kids right now is my information. Actually, nothing else. And Jesus Christ, all He can pass down to you is information. But that's everything. Apparently, information is everything. And most people don't see that. I mean, you have to understand that information is passed down through generations. You understand? So all you have to do is learn much more. And you have to really, really read much more. And you have to really, really educate yourself much more. So that you're really, really doing a better way of life for yourself. And now, do I miss my dad? I do. I do miss my dad. And it's nice being with my dad, for example, because it gives me space, it gives me time, it gives me freedom, do you understand? It gives me a way of life, do you understand? And my mum, like, do I miss my mum? I promise I'm with my mum at the moment, so you have to understand it's much more that I do miss her also. But the thing is, it's much more how, the thing is that, who's better? I mean, is it my mum or dad? I promise the thing is, they're equal. You understand? That my mum and dad are equal in the nature. I'm pretty sure my mum lets me be alone. You understand? But she wants me to do things for her and stuff like that, and it's good. You understand? I mean, don't you want your kids to do things for you? Apparently, that's exactly what my mum does for me. Do you understand? So you have to go places alone, and you have to visit countries alone. You have to go through life happening. But the thing is that sometimes traveling the world is not for you. You understand? Sometimes staying in one place and just growing in one place is enough. You understand? To live a life. You understand? So God just wants you to live life based on God's rules and based on what God wants for you. Do you understand? So God wants for me what He wants for you. I mean, God wants you to travel the world as much as you want. You understand? So wherever you are going, God's going to really, really put those people in front of you, and He's going to put places and things in front of you, and He's never going to challenge you in a way that you cannot be challenged. You understand? He's always going to challenge you to the point where that you understand that life is a test. Okay, life is a test of strength. I mean, life is a test of who can make it much more than others. I mean, you're saying, but the thing is that life is really a test of no competition. You understand? Nobody can compete with me in terms of life coaching. I promise you, nobody has the opportunity to. You have to understand that it's much more how you have to realize that I am my only competition in life coaching. I promise you. You have to understand that you can teach me a lot of things about life if you're willing to teach me. I mean, you're saying, but I have to be willing to listen. I have to be willing to shut up to you, and I have to be really silent to really show you that silence is God's way of listening to you. I mean, God gives you silence. I mean, do you understand? I mean, God talks to you through other people. You understand? God's so powerful that He can speak to you through your dreams. He can speak to you via whatever it is. Do you understand? Because God recently sent Vesna Rajcevic to me, and she's like, oh, this is Vesna Rajcevic, and God wanted to see my reaction to Vesna Rajcevic, and I said, no. I mean, like, Slaja called me. I mean, Vesna called me. Yes, I mean, that was really God calling me. I mean, God wants to connect with me through my dreams. Yes, I mean, God sent me my grandpa through my dreams, and He's like, be wise. I mean, I've seen His reaction. I mean, He loves me. You understand? That's what God is there for. I mean, God's always been there to help me to succeed. Do you understand? But you have to be for God. Do you understand? You have to always, every single day,
do what God wants you to do. Do you understand? I mean, sometimes you have to understand that people don't want to live life. Do you understand? They don't want to live the best life that they want to live. Do you understand? Some people are always living to the extent that they are unable to. For example, I mean, you have to understand that everyone's living to the extent that they can. You understand? The thing is that some people are fatter than others. I'm pretty sure other people have more flaws than others. But God says that your flaws are beautiful. I'm pretty sure you are beautiful the way you are. I'm pretty sure that's what God says. I'm pretty sure God wants you to be the way you are. Do you understand? He wants you to grow. And He doesn't want you to commit suicide. But in a way, He wants you to commit suicide so that you can be with Him. You understand? And so God says the world is good. You understand? So you have to understand that every single day of your life you have to go places. You have to do things. You have to make sure that you do things in regards to God. You understand? So that you really help yourself to succeed. That's what God wants for you and for everyone. So God treats everybody equally, and you have to understand that God gives everyone equally. You understand? God gives to everyone equally about everything. You understand? So what other people have experienced in life, you have experienced in your life as well. You understand? You have to understand that. You have to understand that whatever other people are going through, you are going through as well. You understand? You're going through the same world as other people, and other people are experiencing things that you probably haven't, but you've experienced it in other ways. What have those people in pornography experienced having sex with beautiful people? You have to understand just the feeling. You've had that feeling through masturbation. Have you ever masturbated, for example? That's the feeling. That's all they're experiencing. Yes, and they're just feeling like good in the moment. If you ever had sex in life, you have to understand that Jesus Christ never had sex with other people. He did have sex with other people through communication, but never through physical touch. Yes, and do you understand that? God says that Jesus Christ never physically touched anyone, except those people that He wanted to touch to heal. You understand? So it's much more how you have to understand that it's much more that Jesus Christ says that the world is not about physical touch. You understand? It's about something that you cannot touch. You understand? So what you need to realize is that if you want a job, you're willing to go and get it. You understand? If you want something, go the way that you cannot touch something. You understand? Go the way of something that is unmovable, but at the same time, something that you can never really describe. You understand? So you have to live a life that's something that you can never describe in words. You understand? So you have to live the best life. You understand? You have to go through challenges just like everybody else, but make sure every single day that you do things on your own accord. You understand? Make sure that you're really doing things with God, because you cannot do anything. You cannot do anything without God. God's always in your life. You understand? So even when you think that you're not doing it with God, you're doing it with God. You understand? So for example, I ask God, why does He put people through trauma? The thing is that God never puts people through trauma. You understand? I ask God, why do you make people die through gun shootings and through accidents and car accidents and stuff like that? God says because that's what is. That's what is. And you have to understand that God never chose that for them. Yes, and they chose that. Yes, and God doesn't choose for you anything in life, but God's always choosing for you exactly what you want out of life. Do you understand? So if you want to die early, then that's your choice. It's not God's choice. It's not God's choice to go and die early. You have to understand that Jesus Christ, you have to understand that with Jesus Christ, it's much more that He wanted to die early. He told the disciples that they're going to kill Him. That's what He wanted for Himself. You understand? Jesus Christ wanted to die young, and He says die young all the time. That's the number one rule of life, that if you die, die young. You understand? You have to understand it's much more how in life you go and you really, really absorb life through feelings. You understand? You go and walk somewhere, experience life, go for a coffee, go and enjoy yourself. You understand? But the thing is that try to stay away from coffee, try to stay away from drugs. You understand? Try to stay away from white sugar. I can show you the best lifestyle, but you have to live it. Do you understand? You have to live the best lifestyle, and there is challenges in everything. Do you understand? But the thing is that it's really easy to be your best version. I can tell you that much. I can tell you it's really easy to become your best version if you're willing to do it 100% wholeheartedly. You have to be 100% on it. Yes, and yeah, you cannot be 99%, oh, you want to be your best version, but 1% of you says no. But 100% of you always has to say yes to your best version. You understand? Because otherwise it doesn't work. Do you understand? And only 1% of the world is looking good at the moment. You understand? So I want to shape my body. I want to shape myself. I want to do better throughout life. And you have to understand why that is. Because I've experienced things up and down in my life. I've been through ups. I've been through downs. And my best experiences came from something new. You understand? Something that I've never done. You understand? That's where my best experiences came from. I promise you, everything that's familiar to me is dying. You understand? I promise you, everything that's new for me is always living much more. So go the new way. I promise you, what's new for you is something that is the best way. So God's showing me two roads in life. And God's showing me either you stay in Australia and live alone and have a family for yourself and work a 9-to-5 job just like everyone else, or you go to your mum's house and live with your mum and work a 9-to-5 job and build a family with your mum over there. Rashu, up to you. And he says, up to you. What do you want out of life? I mean, you have two roads. But the thing is that I can try both roads. I can try to live alone for myself, build a family for myself to see how it is for the next few years and stuff like that, and see what I can do from that. Or I can just forget about it and just go and live with my mum and be alone after my mum dies. Apparently, it's really that there's no guarantees about that, is there? You understand? So I want to experience life alone without my mum. You understand? And I'm experiencing that right now without my mum at the moment because I'm doing this life coaching program without her. But what I mean is I want to live in Australia alone. You understand? I want to live in Australia alone, away from my mum, so that I can go and build a family for myself, and so that my mum can visit me when she wants to, and so that I can go and really describe things for myself. Because the thing is that you can always describe things for yourself through words, but you have to have the vocabulary needed to succeed. And I realize I've been lacking in my vocabulary a lot. I realize that. You understand? I have to do much more vocabulary to be able to speak to a greater wide audience. You understand? So many people are not listening to me, and I ask God why, because God says that they are unaware of me. Apparently unaware of the information I can provide. Yes, and that information is something key. Apparently it's something that can help people. Apparently you have to listen to it. So the thing is that I can understand how much listening to other people really helps you. Apparently it helps you to give you ideas and to really make you a better person throughout life, to guide you through information, to really help your life to succeed. You understand? So if you really want to succeed throughout life, you have to go through information. You have to really be a wide range of life. You have to go through life happening in terms of really learning exactly what you need about life to succeed. So you have to really learn on your own accord what you want out of life. Do you understand? So I was recently listening to my music tracks Zonified, so check it out. I mean, go and check it out. I'm pretty sure it's really good in terms of how I made it. And it's called Danny Milivojevic Izonify, and Izonify. Yes, and so just repeat that and just make sure that you can understand that you can go and grow from that, and you can really experience some kind of composition I made with music production. But I want to go and make long music happen. I want to make sure that I can just go and really abide by rules of conditions where I can go and help myself to go and really better my life and do something on my own accord. For example, for my Idonotopia, for example, I made that for 1 month. I mean, you have to understand, 1 month I was sitting behind a computer making that track. You understand? But the thing is that I've experienced things that other people haven't. You understand? I mean, I realized, I asked God recently, I said to him, hey God, I mean, how come you let that guy have sex with that woman but not me? You understand? And then God tells me, but I didn't allow Jesus Christ to have sex with that woman either. But the thing is that God didn't say that to me. I'm pretty sure God really said that Jesus Christ didn't have sex with her either. Yes, and so why do you feel guilty? I mean, why do you feel ashamed of yourself? I mean, yes, and so was I feeling ashamed of myself in that moment? Apparently no. Apparently it's more how I was actually feeling sorry for myself, in terms of not sorry for myself, but feeling a sense of loneliness or something like that. Maybe I was not feeling loneliness. I was feeling much more like that I was missing out. I was missing out on something. Do you understand? But then I look at Jesus Christ and I see how much Jesus Christ missed out on driving a car, or how he didn't travel by plane, or how he didn't have a phone in his lifetime. Do you understand? I promise you, I experienced life much more than Jesus Christ in some terms and conditions. In a sense, so God gave me more than Jesus Christ. You understand? God gave me more to look forward to. Do you understand? Than Jesus Christ. You understand? So the thing is that you have to understand that Jesus Christ came into this world, and God gave Jesus Christ something that He didn't give me. You understand? He didn't. I mean, God didn't make me the chosen one. You understand? God didn't make me the chosen one. Do you understand? So God gave me more than Jesus Christ, but God didn't make me the chosen one. Do you understand? So God make us. I mean, God says that He made everyone the chosen one. You understand? Through Jesus Christ. You understand? So Jesus Christ came for us so that He can help us to succeed. So He can help lead us into a better way of humanity in this lifetime, so that we can abide by God, so that we can go and really live life in a better direction. Do you understand? So God sent His only Son, Jesus Christ, so that He can die for us on the cross, so that we can have life. Do you understand? That's what God says for us, for everything that we've done. Do you understand? God understands that we've sinned. I mean, God says that nobody sinned in life. Apparently nobody is really perfect. Do you understand? I mean, was Jesus Christ perfect? Apparently no. Apparently Jesus Christ could have had better muscles. Apparently Jesus Christ could have had much more. Do you understand? I mean, you have to understand He could have had much more in life, but you have to understand that that's the way of life. Apparently everybody can have much more than what they have. Do you understand? But God said, what is it that you gain the world but lose your soul? Do you understand? I mean, imagine God having everything. I mean, God, I mean, you have to understand the devil spoke to Jesus Christ and said, hey, you go, I mean, if you want to have the palace of God over there, or I mean, he said, I mean, Satan said to Jesus Christ, if you want to have all the land of this land of the world, you will do this for me. Do you understand? And God, and Jesus Christ says, thou shalt not go and test God. Do you understand? Never try to test God in terms of life. Do you understand? Because if you test God, then you have to understand that it's much more how you are always doing something against God. Do you understand? But the thing is that if you test God, I mean, God cannot be tested. You can never try to test God, because God can see exactly what you are trying to think. Apparently God can see exactly what you're trying to feel. Apparently God sees everything about you, even before you try to do anything to God. You understand? Never try to test God. Do you understand? Never try to say to God to die early or anything like that. Do you understand? The thing is that you can say anything that you want to God, but try to be good. Try to be good towards God, in everything that you do. You understand? And you have to understand the Satan tested God. I mean, the Satan tested Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ went over there into the desert and walked 40 days and 40 nights. And do you believe that to be true? I believe that to be true. I mean, you understand? The thing is, that's what it says by the Bible, and you have to believe it. You have to believe in something. You understand? So you have to understand that Satan came to God and said, hey, you can have everything that you ever want in life, but you understand? I mean, you have to understand that it's really Satan lies to God. Do you understand? And this world is filled with Satan. Do you understand? But you have to understand that there is always stories about everything. You understand that the fallen angel is Satan. You understand? So you have to realize that eventually this world's getting into a worse ground. I mean, it's becoming worse in this world. And the thing is that eventually this whole place is going to be controlled by the government. You understand? Apparently this whole place is already starting to get controlled by the government. And people are working like slaves over here in this world. And that's why I don't want to work like a slave. You understand? I don't want to work a 9-to-5 job just like a slave. you understand? Because the thing is that I want to have free time. I want to go and work for God much more often, and God shows me the way, and He says, "Hey, Danny, I'll put you on a disability support pension, so that you can go and be alone, so that you can go and live your life the way you want to live it." You understand? So I'm going to be on disability support pension for the next maybe few years, whatever. But the thing is that I'm not going to work a 9-to-5 job. You understand? I'm not going to be a slave to the government. You understand? I'm not going to be a slave to other people. But I'm a slave to other people because I'm giving them information. You understand? Just like Jesus Christ was a slave to you by giving you life. You understand? That's the thing. I mean, that's the exact same thing I'm giving you. I'm giving you life just like Jesus Christ and nothing else. I'm trying to benefit humanity through information just like God is. Do you understand? But whatever comes out of bad comes good as well. So you have to understand that there is no bad sides to good sides. You understand? There's no good sides to bad sides. You understand? But everything is good, as God said. So everything that you ever want in life, you can always achieve it if you really are willing to. You understand? If you're willing to do better for yourself, then you can do whatever it takes to succeed, and you will. I promise you, you will, because that's what you say. You understand? What you say goes. I promise you, you have to understand that you are what you think. You understand? You are what you think. So if you think cigarettes, you'll do cigarettes. You understand? Make sure you never think about cigarettes. I mean, never think about drugs. If you think about drugs, then you actually become drugs. You understand? What you think about is what you become. So you have to understand that. You have to realize that. You have to realize, but how is that possible? That if you think drugs, you become drugs. It's just so simple, isn't it? What you think about is what you become, because you have to think God. I mean, think God. And if you think God with the drugs, you become someone that's God only. If you understand that, it's much more. You can overcome anything that you set your mind to. You can overcome it. God doesn't put you through what you cannot handle. Do you understand? God won't put you through construction sites if you can never achieve that for yourself. Do you understand? God made those people who can go and make those buildings and stuff like that because they are built for that. Do you understand? They went through certain experiences to be able to be in the sun all day, to do jackhammer, to whatever, to do the demolition derby, whatever it is, so that they can entertain you and so that they can really, really give you exactly what you want out about life. Do you understand? But the thing is that God put everyone into something. But you just have to find your calling. You have to find exactly what you're good at, and you have to go and do it. So I chose for myself to do life coaching. I chose for myself to do music production. I chose myself to do both. And now if I was only a music producer, I promise you there's a long time to go until I even become even good at music production. I mean, do you understand? I promise you it's much more how I see how much my music lacks in terms of ability. But most people don't see that because they don't understand how music works. You understand? But the thing is that when you go to a music producer and you show them your music, unfortunately they're going to understand exactly who you are and what you do about music and how good your music is. You understand? Because they do music production. But those people that don't do music production don't understand exactly what you're doing around music. You understand? But they're going to say, oh, your music is good. Your music is good. It's not bad. They'll say it's not bad. It's good. I mean, you have to understand that all music is good. You understand? As long as it vibrates and there's a sound, apparently it's good. Apparently, just what do you want to put people through? I mean, what kind of experience do you want to help them to experience? I mean, do you understand? Are you making music because you want to go to a nightclub, or are you making music just for the fun of it so you can put it on YouTube? Or do you want to make music just so you can show your mum and dad? I mean, do you understand? Or do you want to make music so you can put it on radio? What is your goal? You have to make a goal. And what type of music do you make? Do you understand? Do you want to make house music? Do you want to make deep house? Do you want to make psytrance? Do you want to make trance? I want to make all type of music, and I just want to make sure that I choose my direction as well. So it's much more how I make all types of music happen. Do you understand? Because the thing is, I'm still learning about music. Do you understand? I'm still learning about everything. And Van Buren works with house music, and he makes also trance music and psytrance music. You understand? So that's his genres. Do you understand? And the thing is that it depends on you. I'm pretty sure I can make choreographies. I can make beautiful choreographies of music. I can make beautiful music as long as I have money in my pocket. I can get people to make a melody for me and to really go and play along with the melody and stuff like that, and I can really enjoy it. But the thing is that nothing lacks in my life. I promise you, I always have money in my pocket, and that's the main thing. I'm always keeping the main thing. Do you understand? So every single day, try to always do the best you can. Try to make sure that your life is always filled with money, filled with positivity, filled with life, and always having stuff in your pocket and really enjoying life. But do I want to travel in the future anywhere? The thing is that I feel that it's much better to travel, but the thing is that eventually I want to settle down. I want to settle down somewhere. You understand? I have to settle down somewhere, and where I settle down is going to be Australia. You understand? And why Australia? Because I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be without family. I'm going to be alone, and then I'm going to go and create my family. You understand? And that's it. And what do I need to do to create my family? All I'm going to do is go speed dating. I'm going to go speed dating. I'm going to meet some people. I'm going to vibe with some people. And I'm not going to drink alcohol. I'm not going to do drugs. You understand? I'm going to be a vegan. I'm going to be working as well. I'm going to have my own type of lifestyle, and I'm just going to live alone. You understand? I'm just going to go and travel for a bit Australia and do things on my own accord and stuff like that. Do you understand? Because that's what I want to do for my life. You understand? I want to go and live alone for a bit. I want to travel alone. You understand? But the thing is that right now I'm traveling with my mum. So I'm experiencing my mum to some degree. I understand what type of woman she is. I understand she means good for me. You understand? But the thing is that she tries to spoil me too much. You understand? The thing is that I like her when she spoils me. You understand? But the thing is that it's just the way it is. You understand? But you have to grow. You have to go through everything. You have to really be someone who's enjoying yourself in the moment, and understand this, that if I didn't make this life coaching tutorial over here, if I didn't make this life coaching teaching that I gave you in this video or this audio program, then guess what? I promise you people will be unaware to some degree. You know, so the thing is that some people are open up to the awareness that I have about life, and that's why my job is to make you more aware about everything. You understand? And that's why I'm life coaching, because my friends are not doing it. You understand? They're not doing it. They're doing it with their people, in terms of whoever they're surrounding themselves with. And you have to understand that they think they know it all, but they're not willing to teach you much. You understand? They're not willing to teach you as much as I can. You understand? Apparently, my mum and my family are not willing to teach you as much as I can. Do you understand? But that's my job. Apparently, my job is to teach you everything about my side of the story and everything that is happening in my world. You understand? Because when I teach you everything that's coming from my world, then you can understand my perspective. You can understand exactly where I'm coming from. You can understand straight away how to live life on your own terms and conditions, and really understand how to really go about life the Danny Milivojevic way. Do you understand? Because I can show you the way. I can show you exactly what I need to do about life and success, and that's what I give you in terms of everything. And now go and read upon everything that you can every single day. Try to learn as much as possible, because that's how you succeed. Do you understand? So you have to understand that what's approaching me right now is life. You understand? And you have to understand that you have to accept what comes. You understand? You have to accept what comes and never deny it. You understand? Have you ever heard that quote, accept what comes? You have to be accepting of everything. You have to accept yourself every single day. You have to accept the person you are. You have to get back into better standards. You have to really grow yourself in the moment. You have to do things on your own accord. You understand? Because there is no other way, and you have to mature. So the best way to mature is to do more life coaching. You understand? More life coaching, more learning, more reading, more curiosity, more imagination, more of everything. You understand? So that's why I'm much more ready now than ever to do whatever it is that it takes to succeed. I'm much more ready now to do whatever it takes to succeed. You understand? I'm much more ready now to have a family. I'm much more ready now to talk to anybody. I'm much more ready now to really succeed and have a conversation with someone and everything. You understand? But the drugs did fuck me up. You understand? A bunch of the drugs I took, like for example marijuana, ecstasy, cocaine, methamphetamine, speed, and all that stuff, that I took in terms of life fucked me up. Do you understand? It fucked me up in a way that it made me lose brain cells. It made me lose my self. Do you understand? It made me lose my sense of being, my sense of wellness. I mean, do you understand? I was a person that was unable to teach anybody anything. You understand? I was able to teach to some degree always, but I wasn't able to life coach. I wasn't able to do music production at one point. You understand? I was unable to do much. But now I look back on my music production, I can see how much I've grown in terms of my FL Studio standards. I can see exactly how I made music that really rocks my boat. I mean, rocks my boat. You understand? And that's the important thing. Like when you're making music, make it so that you enjoy it. You understand? Don't make it for other people. Don't make it to other people's standards. Make it to your own standard. You understand? Make your own life coaching stuff because of you and not because of other people. You understand? Because you want to succeed and because you want to help yourself to succeed. You understand? I don't make this for you. I make it for myself so that I can succeed. And that's it. I promise you have to understand that I make this because I want to help you. And that's why I understand when I want to succeed, it's because I want to help you. And that's my reason, you understand? But I don't make it for you. I make it for me. You understand? I make it so that I can learn. I can learn how to teach. I can learn something from it. I can learn something from what's inside of me. You understand? I can learn to be aware about exactly what I'm going through. You understand? And when I teach something that I've never thought that I could teach. I teach something that I never thought I could even realize. You understand? And the thing is that's why I become much more aware, because I am my own guru. And you have to understand that people can teach me because I learned to listen. Do you understand? And now what's my mum taught me so far? My mum has taught me just to be a good person. Do you understand? Just be a good person, talk around, make sure that you make food for your family, provide for your family and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that's what my mum taught me, you understand, throughout life. And you have to understand that she taught me to be a good individual, to be funny, to laugh, you understand, to go sleep early, wake up early, to not drink coffee, not drink alcohol, not smoke too much cigarettes, you understand? That's what my mum taught me in life. And that's my mum, you understand? My dad taught me the same thing. You understand? Whereas my dad, he's not much of a laughing person, you understand? He doesn't laugh much, you understand? But the thing is that when he starts laughing, he becomes happy, you understand? And my dad's much more of a serious person, like he's much more angry than my mum, you understand? And you have to understand that my mum's actually, to be honest, my mum and dad are both equally angry, you understand? They're angry. And I realize that right now. But the thing is, you have to always appreciate your parents because they do things for you that other people wouldn't do. You understand? You have to understand your parents love you so much that they give you the world, they give you everything they can. You understand? So always try to give yourself as much as possible. So what you do is you life coach as much as possible, do as much as possible, help yourself as much as possible. And this is my talent. I'm pretty sure this is what I do. I'm pretty sure I do life coaching. I do these teachings because I understand it makes someone aware. I probably gives someone an idea here and there, and it helps someone to become much more aware of who I am. And that way you guys get inspired by me, and you get inspired by something in life that I've learned from, and you understand straight away how to really live your life. And that's all I want to show you, is how to live your life much better and how to really become much more aware about everything. So if you understand that I can talk really long, I can really be someone much more satisfactory for myself, I can really grow, I can really go anywhere I want to go. But the thing is that eventually I want to settle down, and eventually I won't travel as much. The thing is that I'm always going to be traveling through words and images. You understand? And the thing is that I understand what's waiting for me. I understand exactly what's going to happen. You understand what's going to be in my life. But the thing is that happiness is coming into my life. A lot of happiness. I'm going to be able to go and travel wherever I want to travel. I'm going to be able to do whatever I want to do because I'm going to have the communication skills to do it. So what I want to do now is I want to learn communication skills even more. And the best way to do that is through my attempt to really help myself to speak, in terms of to speak more with my mother, to really help myself and everyone to do much better. Because when I help everyone do much better, I help myself to do much better. I mean, the best thing you can do to spark a conversation with someone is always trying to look for something better to do or something better to really say or whatever it is. And make sure you understand that when you speak to a woman or man, it's not about having sex with them, it's about having a nice and beautiful conversation. Like, for example, where are you from, what do you do for life, what do you do in your life in terms of working, do you work, how is your life now, what did you do in terms of your life, what makes you go on the holiday. Ask him just questions, different questions about life. You know what I'm saying? Ask him anything about life and just start a conversation, and just, like, for example, do anything that you can to just get your message across, because the sooner you get your message across to another person, for sure that person can understand you much greater. Yes, and that's the whole point. Yes, and so many people in life who have mental illness have problems and difficulties getting their message across, and that's why life coaching is something that helps you to get your message across much more sooner. You understand? Because that's what you have to understand, that when you can get your message across really fast, unfortunately that's how people understand you. You understand? So realize that no matter what happens in life, you always have to have that ability to really speak much more words and to do better in terms of life and to help yourself to really succeed. You understand? Because that's the only thing that's happening for anyone in life, where they have to talk. You have to talk to get across your language. You have to talk to get across the other side. You understand? Because that's how you actually succeed. You grow through the words. You grow through making sure that if you want to get somewhere, you get through there in terms of words. You say to yourself, no. And no becomes no, and that's it. Apparently, make sure you never go back on your words. You understand? Apparently, that's it. Apparently, if you understand that, tell people no. Apparently, tell them no. Make sure that you direct yourself and your way of thinking and your language and your communicational skills to your way of life. Apparently, try to really understand that if you want to go somewhere, or if you want to do something, if you want to do something alone, or if you want to go somewhere, wherever you want to go, apparently go do it alone. Go and really do it in a way that's going to help other people to grow, and make sure every single day that you understand that you have to give people space, you have to give them time, and you have to understand that you have to really understand that most people are unhappy with their jobs. They have no passion except for the work that they do at the 9 to 5 job. Do you understand? But I have a passion. I have music production. I have also life coaching. I have Netflix. I can watch Netflix. I can watch my imagination grow through life. I can do things on my own accord. I can help myself to succeed. I can really talk it out with myself every single day. And this is going up on YouTube, for example. And someone lucky, who's really lucky enough to hear this information, is going to be really growing from it. And you have to understand that there's always a way to grow. You always have to understand you have to go and put yourself through information. You have to put yourself through learning every single day, doing something that's going to really be successful. Yes, and that's what you do for life. You make sure you grow every single day. Make sure you push yourself to read. Push yourself every single day to read something. Be away from your family a bit. You understand? Be away from other people for a bit. Be with yourself sometimes. Be doing something around yourself that's really going to be beneficial for yourself, like reading a book, or making sure that you're doing some music production, or doing some life coaching materials. You understand? You have to start from somewhere. I'm pretty sure everyone that's really good enough to do anything, you have to understand that they start somewhere. Do you understand? You have to start somewhere with your life. You have to really understand that there's always a way forward. So really push yourself every single day to do that necessary stuff that you need to do. Do you understand? So every single day you have to realize that. For myself over here, I realize now my life is really much more than ever moving forward. To some degree, I'm learning much more communicational skills with my mum and stuff like that. I really understand exactly how they speak and what they say and why they say it. But the thing is that they mean good. But the thing is that if you really want to teach me something, I have to be silent with you. You know what I'm saying? I have to make sure that you have to understand that when other people are teaching you, just be silent. You understand? Just be silent. They mean good about you. You understand? The thing is that it's much more how when you talk back so much, don't try to teach them anything. You understand? Don't try to teach other people anything. Don't try to teach other people anything who are around you. You understand? Try to teach yourself, and try to teach them online something. You understand? Try to put your teachings into something that goes online. So everything that I do, I teach people online things. People who are going to come up to me online to read my stuff is who I teach. But everyone around me, I don't teach them nothing. Do you understand? I don't teach my mum anything. I don't teach anybody anything around me because they're too arrogant and they're too ignorant about everything. You understand? The thing is that you cannot teach them anything. Do you understand? Because they're not willing to learn. I promise you, those people who are not willing to learn around you, you cannot teach them. You understand? You have to understand that they think it's their way and that's it. You understand? So make sure you understand that. Make sure you're always silent with the people around you as much as possible. Be as silent as possible with the people around you. And try to teach people online as much as possible. That's the newest way. I promise you, that's the newest fashion. I promise you, my dad, I promise you, you cannot teach him anything. I promise you, you can only make him much more aware. I promise you can only make people much more aware.